Land flipping is not difficult. You're making it difficult, and that's the only reason you haven't closed any deals yet. Here are a few of our most recent deals. We just clipped out a few of the HUD statements for you. But if you don't know, my name is Preston. I'm a land investor and licensed broker. I've been where you are, overthinking, overcomplicating, but more importantly, not acting. So today I'm breaking down on why consistency is the only thing that matters. And there's one thing about consistency that almost nobody within this space tells you. So let's jump right into it. So we will be following our Think, Build, and Execute framework, which is the same framework that we use in our day-to-day to hash out different ideas, but just brainstorm through different ideas as well. And this graphic right here is pretty much where I feel that the majority of business owners fall into, not just land investors or land companies, but the majority of business owners. And it's really like a three-tier system. You have this guy right here on the far left who doesn't even know what he doesn't know, so he just acts. And to be honest with you, he can be extremely successful. And then you have this guy on the far left, on the far right, who also understands that, hey, I don't know anything in the grand scheme of things, and he just acts. But then you also have this guy here in the middle, which I feel that the majority of land investors fall into. And I'll be explaining that a bit later in the video. So this is the first step within our Think, Build, and Execute framework. And I'll jump right into it. You're more than likely overcomplicating it. You're overcomplicating it. Land flipping is simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple, right? And if we go back to this graphic right here, we see that, and this is where I do feel that where the majority of land investors fall into, is that they understand that they are competent, but they understand that they do have some information that they do not know yet. So instead of acquiring just that information and then acting on it and executing, they tend to procrastinate. And so what does it look like, right? So they're watching every video. They need to watch every discipline video. They need to watch every land scaling video, every business scaling video in order to act. They already know how to do a direct mail campaign. They already know how to do a text campaign. They've already consumed a lot of this information, but yet and still they do not act, right? They read every book. They feel that they need to know everything and all the information before they act. And what this leads to is analysis paralysis, right? So this is what you pretty much call the productive procrastination. So it seems like you're being productive because yes, you're learning, but only true knowledge comes from doing, right? You have to get in the field. You have to get your feet dirty. You have to get your hands dirty and learn from doing. So the productive procrastination is really, okay, you want to use AI, you need to chat GPT every possible scenario, right? You need to read every book, you need to watch every video. And these things feel like they're productive because you're all learning in a sense, but they're not leading to what the end result needs to be, which is pretty much just getting deals across the finish line. All right, so second step, so land is just a widget. Right, the model is always the same. It never changes. It does not change, right? All we want to do is buy low and sell high, right? We see a piece of land that we're looking to purchase. We buy it at a discount and we sell it for a profit. It's that simple. It is really that simple. Buy low, sell high. And there's two types of deals that we can do, right? Or I'll say two approaches to every deal, right? We are buying undervalued assets and we sell them at a percentage of their true value, or you can sell it at full market price, however you want to, set up that deal. Or we can buy a undervalued asset, or you can buy it at market value, and we can force appreciation, right, to where we are adding value to that property. So you see this in the terms of maybe doing owner financing, right? Bringing an asset to the market or bringing a piece of land to the market to a end buyer that under normal circumstances wouldn't have access to that type of property. This may also look like, doing some type of owner financing and then selling the note at closing, or just selling the note on the secondary market, right? This also may be some type of entitlement deal. This also may look like some type of subdivide. And we'll discuss it a bit later as well. So let's hop into step 3. So the conveyor belt. At the end of the day, we are running a business. We just need to build the system and feed the system, right? Most investors or operators do not take themselves out of the business. If they were to leave their business for a week, it would crash. It would crash and burn down. And that's the kind of, rat wheel, if you will, that most investors, live in, to where they can't take themselves out of the business. And because they can't take themselves out of the business never scales, right? So it's more so like a high paying job as opposed to a functional, well-run machine. Right. And because we are looking to build a well-run machine, we have to have clear, distinct roles for everybody in our business. Everybody, right? From the front end to the middle to the actual sale of the property. Everything needs to be documented. Everything. Every little thing. From how you handle a deal, how you communicate with the attorney, if you're in an attorney closed state, of course, how you deal with the title company, how you deal with the drone photographer, the follow-up system. Everything needs to be documented, but it's extremely easy to do. I know it seems a bit complicated, but trust me, it's extremely easy to do. So what does this look like in our business, right? In my business. So we use Monday, and to be honest with you, this even in itself is a bit overcomplicated. We can just really use Google Drive for this. But we use Monday pretty much to document every work procedure, and each one of these lead to a Google Drive anyway. So this is specifically for our intake coordinator or intake manager. So it tells you how to communicate with the county. It tells you how to check for back due taxes. We have about maybe 15 in here. We have live recordings with Loom, which is a lifesaver because we can pretty much record the step and provide that live recording to the coordinator, so they just pretty much understand what to do in any scenario. We show them how to use our land mapping software. We show them how to use and check flood zones, right? So they're really doing a lot of the precautionary work. They're doing a lot of the precautionary work beforehand, before it even moves to the next step. So they're doing a lot of the precautionary work, and just really doing that initial analyzing that we need for any deal that comes across our pipeline. So as I mentioned, you don't really need Monday, but that's what we do. That's what we've been using for quite some time. To be honest with you, we really overpay for what it is. We do Google Drive. This is more than enough. And at the end of the day, with this step is systems. That's what it is. You don't know what you don't track. So that comes down to KPIs as well. It comes down to all your work procedures and your SOPs. And to document this, especially now, it's easier than ever, right? We use Loom, and I think there's another software I don't know right off bat. If you know it, drop a comment into the chat. But there is systems and softwares that will record the video for you, or you record the video, and it automatically converts that into a work procedure. This is what is available to us that wasn't available just 5 years ago. So it's easier than ever. You just have to look for it, find it, and execute on it. This is just one of the work procedures that we created for our intake manager. But we have this across the board, right? the intake manager or our lead manager, they know what they're doing as soon as they turn on their computer, right? They know what they have to review in the pipeline. They know what they have to do as far as their daily preparations in order to, get their day started. They know what they need to do to follow up, and they know what they need to do at the end of the day, their closing day activities. Everything's documented, but it makes it run so much smoother. So much smoother. And that's one thing that I really want you guys to understand. Document it, and you'll thank yourself in the end. So let's scroll back up. So consistency, and this is more so like a mindset thing, but consistency is the only variable, right? One step back, two steps forward, right? And that's kind of where we were at with the work procedures. Yes, it took a bit of time for us to sit down and document things. Yes, it took time for us to record conversations that we were having with, potential sellers, right? But that documentation lives forever now, and we don't have to do it again, right? But it also allows that person, that particular role, to also start teaching as well. So if we ever want to have them switch roles, they can teach it, or we have somebody come in and fill their role. It's already there. It's already documented. So I say that to say it doesn't need to be perfect. You only need to make it one time. But also you need to make sure that pipeline is full. So go back to what consistency means in your business. And what it means in my business, right, is no matter the week, no matter how many deals we have in our pipeline, we have a set schedule on when we are reaching out to potential sellers. It does not matter. We can have 100 deals within the pipeline. We are still sending out that mail. We are still text blasting. We are still doing voicemail drops. We are still running an SEO campaign. We're still doing Facebook advertising. These are things that we are still doing no matter what. No matter what, these are things we are still doing, right? Because what you'll find out, and this is something you can learn from me, is that there is a certain amount of days until closing. So let's say, for example, a deal enters your pipeline. It's maybe about 30 to 60 days sometimes, maybe a bit sooner, maybe a bit later, to where you can actually close on that deal. All right, and each individual deal follows that same timeline. Each individual deal follows that same protocol, I guess, if you will. So it may be 60 days until from when the deal enters the pipeline until you can actually execute on it. So you constantly need to be feeding your pipeline, your CRM. You constantly need to be giving your team more deals, more properties to look at. So there's just an endless flow of properties that you're executing on, you're closing on, you're reviewing, and it makes everything run a lot smoother. So step 5, right? So the marketing system. Send it consistently, not perfectly, and this is something I actually just covered right here, but let's scroll down to it. So step 5, right? And now we're getting more so into the building part of it. And this is just the marketing system. So we use a lot of direct mail, but to be honest with you, any form of marketing, as long as you're doing consistently, can bring in really good deals. Like, for example, we use direct mail, but I know operators and owners that strictly do texting. That's all they do. And they're just as successful. I know operators that strictly do Facebook ads, right? And they're extremely successful. So it's just finding one platform or multiple platforms and just being consistent with it. That's all that matters. And with us, so we use direct mail. A lot of times we're just sending the direct mail directly to the seller, of course. And the template already exists, use it, right? You're not the first to be a land investor, and you won't be the last, right? You're not the first to be within the real estate space, and you won't be the last. There's people you can learn from, right? There's systems already in place. Just go out there and look for it, So as I mentioned, I know a lot of operators, even ourselves, we've closed a lot of deals just through texting. And even cold calling as well, who strictly close a lot of the deals through cold calling. So, it's something to keep in mind, and understand that this is something that is very doable, as long as you create the systems in order to repeat that. So as long as you repeat it. So the offer, right? So let's say you've reached out to your sellers, you've had a little bit of communication, they're ready to receive an offer. What do you do, right? So you need to know what you would like to offer or what the property is worth before you present them with the offer on the property, right? Sounds self-explanatory, but a reasonable offer beats no offer every time. All right, so just present them with the offer. A lot of times the owners may know how or have a general idea of what the property is worth, but they're open to a deal, right? They raised their hand within the marketplace and said, hey, you know what? I want to sell my property. Let's get it done. And the structure of the offer matters more than the price. So what this looks like, right? So when you're having that initial conversation, is just understanding what their reason for selling, so their motivation, and then creating a offer that is extremely that presents a lot of value, but is extremely beneficial to the seller, if that makes sense. So sometimes that may be just price, but that also may be closing on a different timeline. It may be kind of following certain covenants that they may have for the land and whatnot. So that's just something to think about. And this kind of piggybacks on one of the things that we touched about earlier. So for example, when we're sending an offer, pretty much everything goes through some type of online DocuSign type of ordeal or software. There's free ones. We use PandaDoc, but there's a lot of other ones on the market. And then you just need to make the offer. So find out what the market value is, offer a percentage of the market value for a cash offer, send it off. If they have any questions, answer the questions and just move on to the next one. But also know the highest and best use for the property as well. So this is where the prospecting comes into play. Knowing what to look for comes into play. And what we mean by highest and best use is just pretty much knowing what brings the most value to the property, or what would bring the most or the highest return for that particular piece of land. I guess that's a better way to describe it in layman terms. But that's all highest and best use is. But doing that beforehand, before you present your offer, will allow you to not only present them with a better offer, a more complete offer, more accurate offer, but it will also allow you to understand what the end game looks like for you as well. All right, so your exit options, right? So this is the fun stuff, right? This is where the majority of your money is going to be made, of course, when you exit on the property. But you should already have a general idea of how much you can get for the property before you even get to the step. And that just comes from your due diligence process, right? You really make the money when you purchase the property, not when you sell it, if that makes sense. So your exit options. Consistency gives you options, right? So if you are consistent with your marketing efforts, more than likely you will have multiple exit options for any property that you are looking to sell. It's that simple. You have multiple options for any property that you are looking to sell. So what does this look like as a land investor? You can do a simple cash flip, right? Where you buy for 30 or 40 cents on the dollar, you flip it within 60 days, more than likely. Sometimes it's a bit longer, maybe 6 months, however long that it may take, depending on what you price it, but that's a totally different story. But you have cash flips, that's the fastest and cleanest. You have double close, depending on what your margin looks like. You can partner with a transactional investor, like an investor who provides transactional funding. You have owner financing, which we had mentioned earlier, to where you pretty much are acting like the bank, to where you buy a property, you receive a down payment on that property, and you finance the property to the buyer with monthly payments. Right? You can sell the note at closing. We've done this as well. We can sell the note once it's a bit more seasoned. Right? And you can even sell non-performing notes as well. All right? So you have 3 options. It's actually a bit even more than that, but I just mentioned 3, all within the owner financing realm. Right? You have entitlement deals, you have development deals. You can partner with the builder. We've done that as well. It's where it's like a 50-50 split. So there's a lot of different options you can do. And the owner financing, I'll jump a bit more into that because it is a bit popular, or it is very popular. It's a legal agreement between the buyer and seller to pretty much sell the property with monthly payments, if you will. So, and then if you're doing any type of note, if you want to say sell the note on the secondary market, you have platforms like PaperStack. But to be honest with you, there are a lot of smaller or like individual investors as well, to where you can just, have or if you have a relationship with them, you just sell them a note. That's their whole business model. So they're constantly looking for notes, performing notes, non-performing notes, that you can sell as well. So if that's something that you guys would like me to do a video on, I'll be more than happy to do that as well. But I say that to say that there's a lot of options. There's a ton of options, right? But it all comes back to consistency. It all comes back to finding a good deal, right? So what's the takeaway, right? Well, here it is. It's not a hack. It's not a secret system. It's just volume, right? Sending enough volume on a consistent basis, week after week, month after month. And that's it. That's the whole thing. Remember, land is not complicated. You're making it complicated. Find a template that works for you. Send it consistently. Make reasonable offers. The deals will come. And when they do, you have options. So if you found any value in this, just drop a comment. Let me know if you need any help with anything. Until next time, you guys take it easy.